performance by the Buffalo Bills offense this week. And if you're someone who's been tracking their ground game evolution, this one stood out in a big way. We're not just talking about yards and touchdowns here. We're talking about a real shift in identity, a reimagining of how this team runs the ball, and it paid off. 32 carries, 165 yards, 2 scores on the ground. But more than that, this game showed us that the Bills can adapt, diversify, and punch a defense right in the mouth with some good old-fashioned smash-mouth football, just executed in a very modern way. The first thing that jumped off the screen was the uptick in gap scheme runs. All season long, the Bills have been leaning heavily into zone concepts. That was their bread and butter, letting James Cook use his vision, press the line, and find those lanes as the blocks developed. But this week, that script got flipped entirely. Gap runs were the foundation. 13 gap scheme carries for Cook compared to just 9 zone. A complete reversal from what we saw over the first 3 weeks, when he had 33 zone runs and only 20 gap. That's a massive shift. It wasn't subtle. The Bills came into this game with a plan to impose their will, and it started with pulling guards, trapping defenders, and creating movement up front. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Every single one of those run plays came from under center. That's right, not a single shotgun run in the entire game. For a team that used to favor shotgun formations, this was a clear and deliberate decision. In weeks 1 through 3, the Bills ran the ball from under center about 75% of the time. This week, 100%. That's not coincidence. That's a calculated move to pair a more downhill, power-oriented run game with under-center formations that give the back a better runway to build momentum and pick his crease. When you're under center, your back is already moving forward when he gets a handoff. That split second matters. It lets him attack the line faster, read the defense on the fly, and hit the hole harder. And honestly, the variety is what makes this offense so hard to pin down. You never know what you're going to get. This week it was under center, gap heavy, run it down your throat between the tackles. Last week, it might have been outside zone, shotgun looks, and spread personnel. They keep it fresh. They keep it flexible. And this week, it was all about going right up the gut. Not a lot of perimeter runs. Not a lot of trying to get to the edge. It was smash mouth, old school, between the guards, move the chains, beat them at the point of attack football. And it worked, especially against a defensive front that has some athleticism and penetration ability, but not a ton of stout, anchor-heavy interior guys. The Bills saw a weakness and attacked it. And shout out to the offensive line, because this was, without a doubt, one of their most cohesive, dominant performances this season. The double teams were poetry. The timing, the connection, the execution, it was beautiful to watch. So many times, you see offensive lines struggle to stay connected on those combo blocks. They'll try to climb too early, lose the first-level defender, and the whole play blows up. But not here. These guys were sticking on those doubles just long enough, sealing the point of attack, then climbing with precision to get their hat on the linebacker. It was textbook. And the result? Lanes opened. James Cook had room to work. And he did plenty with it. Decisive cuts, good vision, and that burst when he hit daylight. And what I loved was how multiple this group can be. They can run gap. They can run zone. They can run under center. They can run from the gun. They've got 2-back looks, different personnel groupings, tight ends moving around, motion, misdirection. It's not just about what they do. It's about how they do it and how they set it up. And this week, the setup was clearly meant to hammer the interior of that Saints defense. And they did just that. Between Connor McGovern, David Edwards, Deion Dawkins, and even Ryan Vandermark filling in at right tackle, this line was creating space. Speaking of Vandermark, what a showing. This guy stepped in and played one of his best games yet. Yeah, he gave up a pressure or two, but you're asking a depth lineman to handle a full game against a pretty solid front, and he absolutely delivered. In the run game, he was nasty, driving guys off the ball, climbing to the second level, finishing blocks. And even in pass protection, he held his own. A couple plays you'd want back, sure, but overall, that's the kind of depth performance that gives you confidence moving forward. Now let's talk about the passing game. Because while the run game was physical and straightforward, the passing attack was surgical. It was smart. It was prepared. Joe Brady knew what he was going up against. The Saints play a lot of cover 3, right? That's their bread and butter. But they mixed in a lot of cover 1 as well in this game. And the tricky thing about those two coverages is that the pre-snap look is nearly identical. Single high safety, corners outside, linebackers in the box. But post-snap, one is zone and the other is man. And if you don't figure out fast, you're toast. But Josh Allen figured it out fast. 72% of his throws in this game were to his first read. That is significantly higher than usual for Allen. He's typically a guy who has to scan a bit more, create off script, hold on to the ball. But not in this one. He was dialed in. He saw what the defense was doing, he knew where the ball was supposed to go, and he got it out. 16 completions on 22 attempts, 2 touchdowns, just over 200 yards. Efficient, smart, confident. Now, yes, there was an interception. Let's talk about it. 3rd and long, and Josh takes a shot deep to Keon Coleman, who had absolutely roasted his man. Great release, vertical speed, stacked the corner, and honestly, the corner got benched shortly after that play, and you can see why. Coleman was giving him fits. Now, Josh let it rip. He tried to fit it in before the safety could get over. And credit to the safety, that rookie made a great play. Maybe you wish Coleman had just a bit more top-end gear to go get it, but I'm not mad at the throw. That's a calculated risk. That's Josh trusting his guy, seeing leverage, and giving him a shot. Sometimes the defender makes a better play. I'm okay with that. What I'm more impressed by is how decisive Allen was throughout the game. He looked in control. He knew where the ball was going. He wasn't trying to play hero ball. He was operating within the structure of the offense, and the offense looked sharp. And again, shout out to the play caller. Joe Brady mixed in motion early to help Allen identify man versus zone. He used personnel creatively. He helped simplify the post-snap picture so Allen could just rip it. This was a really well-coached game. One of the big beneficiaries of that sharp game plan was Keon Coleman. Easily his best game as a route runner. His stem work, his ability to manipulate defenders, to get in and out of his breaks. It all clicked. He was making corners bite inside, then snapping it off outside. He was using tempo and body language to keep defenders guessing. He looked polished. And that's exciting, because if he continues developing like this, he's going to be a nightmare for defensive backs. Now, about those 3 sacks on Josh Allen. It's worth breaking them down because the raw number doesn't tell the full story. First one, Josh actually had time. It was more of a coverage sack. Ryan Vandermark was matched up against a wide 9 alignment from Cam Jordan, and maybe he could have taken a more vertical set, but the loss wasn't immediate. Allen had time. He could have stepped up or to the right. Just didn't. That's on the quarterback. Second sack. That's on Osiris Torrance. Got beat clean. Bills were in empty 5-man protection, and Torrance just overset. Granderson came inside, rushed the A-gap, and it was a free shot on Allen. That one's tough. Third one. Looked like Allen predetermined to run. Tried to escape, didn't like what he saw, and just got swallowed up. Nothing to panic about. The protection overall was solid. Allen was one of the least pressured quarterbacks of the week. Time to pressure was long. The sacks were more about isolated breakdowns and situational stuff than anything systemic. And man, the play-action game? It's heating up. 39% play-action rate this week. That's 3 straight weeks above 30%, finally. When the Bills are using play-action at that clip, it opens everything up, and you could see the effect. Josh was 8 of 9 on play-action, throws for 77 yards. Efficient. Controlled. That's the formula. Run the ball well, build off it, stress the linebackers, and make life easier for your quarterback. The design matched the identity. Under center, gap scheme, motion, play action. That's the vision. That's where this offense can be elite. And while we'll dig into some snap counts and player-specific stuff in the next segment, there's a clear theme here. The Bills' offense is evolving. They're not just explosive anymore. They're efficient. They're smart. They can beat you with power, with finesse, with tempo, with formations, and with physicality. This game was a statement. And it wasn't about Josh Allen throwing for 400 yards. It was about the Bills finding a weakness, designing a plan to exploit it, and executing that plan at a high level. Let's keep it rolling and dive deeper into the personnel usage and some individual player performances, because that's where a lot of the real story gets told. When you watch the Bills' offense operate the way it did in this game, it's not just about Josh Allen or James Cook. It's about how this coaching staff is deploying players, mixing up formations, leaning into certain groupings, and adjusting to what the defense gives them. This game showed us that Buffalo has a lot more versatility than maybe we were giving them credit for. Starting with James Cook, he was on the field for 43 of the Bills' 59 offensive snaps. That's a massive workload, and it confirms what we're seeing on tape. He's the guy. Ty Johnson got 12 snaps, Ray Davis got just 5, and Reggie Gilliam was on the field for 17, mostly in those heavier looks where they wanted a lead blocker or an extra body in pass pro. Cook is clearly the focal point of the backfield, and with how well he's playing, it's understandable. The concern, of course, is sustainability. That kind of usage early in the season can wear a guy down, especially someone who isn't built like a classic workhorse. You want him fresh in December and January. So while it's great to ride the hot hand, there's definitely a case to be made for mixing in more touches for the other backs, especially Ty Johnson, who brings a little more straight-line juice and physicality. Reggie Gilliam's role continues to be interesting. 17 snaps may not seem like a ton, but when you consider how often the Bills went to two-back looks and heavier formations, his presence starts to make a lot of sense. And what's cool is how they're using him. It's not just I formation, lead block, ISO stuff. They're moving him around. They're using him in motion as a pass protector, sometimes even splitting him out. It's a subtle piece of the offense, but it's effective, and it shows that this team is willing to get creative with guys who might otherwise be considered role players. At tight end, we saw a bit of a surprising split. Jackson Hall led the group with 31 snaps, Dawson Knox had 24, and Dalton Kincaid logged just 22. And for a guy with Kincaid's skill set, that's a bit disappointing. But when you consider the game script, it makes more sense. The Bills were leaning into the run game, going under center, using heavier formations. In those situations, you're going to want guys like Haw and Knox out there. They're better blockers, more physical presences on the edge. That said, Kincaid made his snaps count. His touchdown catch was a thing of beauty, and he had some really nice moments as a blocker too. Go back to the Khalil Shakir touchdown. Kincaid took care of the corner, then peeled off and hit 2 more guys downfield. That's big time. And then on Cook's touchdown run, Kincaid sealed the second level. He's making an impact, and the production is there, but it's clear that the staff is still figuring out exactly how to blend him into the overall flow, especially when the offense is tilted toward the ground game. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. The Buffalo Bills are reportedly shaking the NFL to its core with moves that could redefine speed in the league. Rumors are swirling that the team has secured agreements with wide receivers Xavier and cornerback Marcus Williams. And if true, this could be the most electrifying offensive setup in recent memory. Sources close to the organization suggest that these additions are part of a larger plan to build an attack so fast and versatile that defenses might not even know where to start. Worthy, widely regarded as one of the most explosive young receivers to enter the league in years, is said to bring a combination of lightning-quick routes and field-stretching ability that could turn even a modest passing game into a highlight reel. Imagine him paired with the Bills' existing weapons: Tyler Boyd, Stephon Diggs, and a backfield that's already explosive. The chatter is that Worthy alone could force defenses to rethink coverage schemes on every snap. Meanwhile, Marcus Williams, who has built a reputation as a shutdown corner, reportedly adds another layer to Buffalo's tactical arsenal. The whispers suggest his presence could give the Bills unprecedented flexibility in both man and zone coverage, freeing up defensive playmakers to create turnovers and fast break opportunities. Combine that with an offense that's rumored to be the fastest in the NFL, and you've got a team capable of dictating the tempo of every game they play. League insiders are buzzing about how this speed-first approach could reshape the AFC East. Critics wonder if the team is overloading on potential rather than proven chemistry. But supporters argue that this daring strategy could be the spark that finally pushes Buffalo past the postseason plateau. With these two high-profile names allegedly joining forces, the Bills might not just be contenders. They could become the team everyone fears to face on Sunday afternoons. Of course, nothing is official yet, but the mere rumor of Xavier and Marcus Williams heading to Buffalo has already sent shockwave through social media, betting circles, and locker rooms across the league. If it happens, the NFL might just witness the birth of the fastest, most dynamic attack the league has ever seen. For now, fans and pundits alike are left to speculate. But one thing is clear. The Bills' offseason whispers are anything but quiet, and the stakes for the upcoming season have never been higher. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.